Hey everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day wherever you are in the world. Just want to greet you all. I wanted to say very quickly, all, to it's so important that we are, those of you who have children, I just want to say guard your children and protect your children. Children are, the Bible says children are a gift from God. They really are. And they are souls. They are souls, guys, who are sent and they are infused in a little body. They're infused in a toddler body and eventually a adolescent, teen, and adults. But while they're little, it's so important, guys, that we are investing in them and taking care of our children because there's so many crimes against children. So many. It is unbelievable. And we're in times where there are people who are very, very wicked and very evil, and they will hurt a child. They will rape a child. They will molest a child. They will abuse a child. And ladies, I've talked about this before. You have to be very careful, especially if you have children who you are allowing around your kids, who you're allowing around your children, who you're allowing around your daughters, who you are allowing around your sons. You've got to know the character of that person, the character of that man, the character of that woman, because it's not only men who are abusive. There are women who can be abusive. There are women who can be jealous of the daughters or even jealous of the relationship between the father and the son. There are men who are jealous of the love and the bond that the son has to the mother. There are men out there who are sick in the head that if the mother is hugging the son or hugging or whatever, they will make the mother feel as if she's treating her son like a sissy or whatever they want to say, or make it seem as if there's something perverse. And you have to really pay attention to your children because children can pick up on the evil in people. And then you have people that will come around and they want to get close to your daughter while going against your son, or that woman wants to be close to your son while defying the daughter. And sometimes what they can do is cause a division, triangulate the siblings. So it will be this person that's coming in and pitting the once close siblings, pitting them against one another, or even making it worse. If they weren't close before, this person could come in and cause problems. In other words, you can really be dating someone and being around a person who is a child. They never grew up. They grew up physically, but in their mind, they're still a jealous, rejected, or a child that was abused. And so when they enter into your space and in your home, they don't see themselves as someone that is trying to come with you, be with you, grow with you, and seeing to the future and the wellness of your children. They come in still as a jealous, hateful, resentful child in an adult body, with now having the authority of an adult and given the what is the word I'm looking for? Not only given the authority of the adult, but just the level of trust. And there's just certain things that you will give to an adult off the top, just expecting them to be accountable. You think that they're someone that would be helpful. There's just certain things, a mindset that's given to an adult straight out the top because you're seeing them as an adult, but then you don't realize that this person is evil. This person has problems. And so it's so important, parents, single fathers, single mothers, or whatever, you must be very mindful of where you're taking your children and who's around them, because these are the times where there are people that will abuse your children. I just saw something with this man that just randomly punched a child, hit a child. I believe the child was out in Times Square or something like that, and just randomly hit just hit the child. I believe that they were in Times Square. I'm not sure. But apparently this person had some priors, I think 40 something priors, and this person's out and now attacks a child. I'm not sure how this happened in New York and nobody did anything about it, but okay. But there's just so much evil, and a lot of it is, someone's boyfriend coming to live with them and abusing their children, or their girlfriends coming in to abuse and abusing the children, or the stepmother. There is this thing with step parents where they're deemed to be evil, and we know not all are like that, but there is just this belief, stepmothers come in and change up the whole atmosphere in the house. Stepfathers, there are few that do actually, who are actually loving and kind and caring. They can merge their families together if that's the case, and it is possible. But we're seeing more and more today that there are just people out there who are very wicked. And so you have to be so careful, and you have to be wise with the choices that you're making, especially if you're single, because sometimes what happens is people want to have babies and they're having children before they should be having children, and they're having children with someone who they like, but then the relationship does not last, so they end up being by themselves. All right, so the mother either end up being by herself, or the mother does not want the child, and now the father is this young man is trying to raise a child by themselves. They're still young, they're still growing, and now they're trying to get a job, and based on their level of education or still going through school, there's only so many, they don't have the money to get a quality daycare, so now they're looking for a cheap daycare. Now they're asking the neighbor to keep their kids. Now they're trying to get their boyfriend, their girlfriend, someone upstairs, someone downstairs, leaving the children here because they are not situated in life to be able to work, have the money, and to be able to get a quality childcare facility if needed. And so they create an environment that they were probably never meant to have. And unfortunately, the children will suffer for this. They're married people who are the same way. They just making decisions and certain things in their lives, and they're raising the children however they see fit, or they're too busy. They wanted to have children, but they still want to have the party life. They want to have children, but they still were not done growing up. And there are consequences to children. And so nowadays you're finding it so common where children are being physically, sexually abused. They're being starved. They're being chained up. People are going out there and getting foster children so they can get some extra money in the house, but they are abusing these kids. And so, guys, we just want to pray for these children. We want to pray for these individuals. Pray for those who who died, and those who are in those situations, that there will be exposure and it will be made known what is going on. And all I can tell you all is to just be very careful. Be very careful the choices that you are making in your life and who you are trying to settle down with. Because 9 times out of 10, you are not lost on what type of character this man or this woman has. Because eventually they're just going to show you who they are. You shouldn't want to be with somebody so badly that you're happy to have a man in the house. You're happy to have someone else, another woman, have a woman in the house with you, and somebody who could watch your children and all that. Because a lot of times, sometimes all they want is room and board. Sometimes all they're looking for is somebody to lay with, sleep with. Sometimes all they're looking for is somebody to help them out financially, but they don't care anything about your children. And if anything, they see the children as problems. They see the children as a nuisance, and they begin to take it out on them. I don't think any man who is not your husband should be in your house disciplining your children. And a lot of times you find these men, they have the ones that are abusing children, they have questionable characters, but so often the women are so desperate to have this man in the house to say, I have a man, I have somebody that can watch my children when I go to the store to get my nails done, all of that. Guys, we just have to be to a place where you're like, take your children with you, and if you can't take them with you, just don't go nowhere. Sometimes people still want to go out and go party and everything, and leaving them with this person and that person, and they're being hurt and they're being abused and they're being sexually abused. And then when your children grow up, you got to realize they're still minors. You still have to look out for them, because what's going on in the world, sometimes as parents, you may be under pressure because your children, they want to go do certain things. They want to go over to this person's house. They want to go over to that person's house. And society will make you feel like, oh, you're being too overly protective of your child. You mean he can't go out to this party? She can't go to this. They can't go to the sleepover. They can't come over sleepover. No. You're in a world that we're in times that's completely different. Now, when my children become adults, I already have an adult child, and he can choose to do what he wants to do with his life. I have no control over him. All right. But I can give advice. But when you're in my home and you're living here, you're not going to spend the night at people's homes. And I just realized that, because the more you look at the world, you realizing that people are morphing, they are hatching and becoming something dreadful behind closed doors after midnight, after 6 p.m. And sometimes the other kids, they have no control over that. But see, when you're in somebody else's house, it's very easy for that parent or the adults to arrange things where they're alone with your child, or the child goes to sleep, or they send the child, hey, go do this, and then all of a sudden your child is left alone in the house with this person. So you may feel sometimes within yourself pressure, or you're just like, well, I'm just going to let them do this. If God's protecting my kids, then I don't need to worry about it. True, God will protect your kids, but you are expected to have a certain level of wisdom and discernment and discretion. And sometimes they're asking you to do things. You can look at the people that they're trying to go out with and where they're trying to stay. And the bottom line is, my child don't need to spend the night at your house. So many people are in this, can they spend the night? And I understand, because I was that way. My parents hardly ever let us spend the night anywhere. The only place we're allowed to stay was with our cousins. Okay? And we were close. These are cousins that lived with us, and that was it. We were able to spend the night there, but we didn't spend the night all the time. And a lot of times if we're over there spending the night, sometimes our parents, we're all staying over there. We go over, we staying at my aunt's house or whatever, or we're all going away. When we used to go on vacation to Jamaica, we're all together staying in this vacation home as a family. So it was a really different environment. But guys, people don't need to spend the night. There's plenty of things you could do in the day. You can do play dates. Everybody could meet up and do something and everything. But I understand that once you have a teenage child, there are things that they want to do. They want to go to the party. They want to go to this. They want to go to that. And it's difficult sometimes to make those decisions. Understandably, as they start to get older, maybe there's certain things you have to trust God to protect them, but you ain't spending the night. If they're going out of town and everything, you want to be nearby. You want to be able to do that where you can spend the night nearby if they have a game or things like that. And sometimes it's not always feasible. Then you just have to ask God's guidance. But there are plenty of people these days, they're hanging out with friends and they're going to sleepovers and they're going to parties and they're going to these different things. And then sometimes you find out what's happening with a lot of these teenagers is that they go somewhere and something happened to the child. And it turns out sometimes their friends are jealous. They're jealous of them for something. But of course, they've always been hanging out and at school and out and about. But when that child gets over to the house with the other girls, it's something else. And you have to realize that children today, they're so different. I know that they're children who are well-mannered and everything, but more so than anything, you're finding children who are just evil and they are just wicked. And they're watching things and then they want to kill. I mean, they stabbing and killing and shooting. This is absolutely insane. And so as parents, it is our responsibility, even in those cases. Yes, they may get upset. Yes, they may be mad at you. Yes, they may feel like, oh, you don't let me do anything. But it is our job to be the guardians of our children and be guided by God. Yes, use discretion in what the Lord may say this is okay for them to do. But going to parties and going to certain places and just sleeping over and people sleeping in your house, no. You're not spending the night at my house even. I used to say that, oh no, they can come over and sleep here, but that's not even going to happen. No. No. There's just too many false allegations and things. It's so easy for kids to say, oh, this happened, that happened. And sometimes the kids are innocent, but the parents will ask them so many questions that they'll get the child all mixed up and cause the child to say just something that wasn't true. And it's not living a paranoid life, guys, but it's living a purpose-driven life, which is I'm raising my children. You have that mindset. You're raising your kids. You're doing what you need to do. And this and that and the other is not going to happen. Now, when they get older, you can only hope that the seeds that you've planted, they will, and you raise them in with the love of the Lord, and teach them things that they will be able to apply these things to their lives. That's all you can do once they become adults. But when they are young, there's nothing wrong with setting those boundaries and saying no. Now, I'm not against parents. If you're the ones, you go out there, you send your child here and then you do it and everything is fine, you may have a setup that works for you. But in these days, I am I'm like, no. There are things that they can do, there are activities that they can get involved in and everything, but we are just not going to do that. There are things we can do as a family. There's places I can take them as a family. All of that. We'll do things. They're not like hermits. They are well taken care of. But I do let them understand that while you are young and you're minors, that there are just certain things that I don't feel obligated that I need to have you go and do and spend the night here and sleep in here and going to this and going to that. No, because a lot of times children are left unsupervised and something goes down. And even if your child is not doing anything wrong, a lot of times you'll find other parents that are raising their children different. Some with a bunch of teens and all this stuff going on. And it's just, we're just in times that's completely different. So as parents, we have got to monitor our children. And while they have the freedoms that they should have, we have to definitely get in there. And we just have to say no in some cases. And this is not going to happen. And there's going to be some restrictions here. And you can make your choices when you grow up, because eventually they're just going to grow up and do what they're going to do regardless. And you can only hope that they take the better path. I'm not saying you have to keep your kids in all the time. They don't go outside to play or anything like that, or they're not having any activities. You need to do things with them. They can't just always be in the house cleaning and all of that, and you don't let them go anywhere. And that's misery, because then they'll gladly want to go out and do anything in the world if they're home miserable with you. But we just have to be vigilant in these last days, because there are lots of people that they run their household in a whole different way. There are people that who's in their house, they got issues and problems. And even someone that seems that they're fine, there are people who have struggles and things that they are going through. And if they're struggling and going through things, God bless them. I pray that they will get redeemed and help. But I'm not going to put my vulnerable child in your house and in your care while you're struggling to tack on to any additional pressure and temptations that they may be going through. But getting back to the original part of this video, these young people, these babies that are being killed and raped, and people that are being abused and beaten by a man boy, because that's what it is. He's a man, but he's a boy. He's still a bully. Bullying your son, bullying your daughters, just taking and these women who are still little girls, jealous of your daughters and things of that nature. Don't be quick to leave anybody. She's not your wife. He's not your husband. Don't leave your kids with them. There may be situations and things that we have all gone through at some point in our life where we had to leave our child somewhere. But if you don't need to, don't do it. If you don't have, don't do it. Once you have children, there's a lot of things you can't do anymore. That's why it's important, ladies, don't have kids. Young men, don't be having children, because that's why there is a process in life, a path. You grow up, you get to enjoy your life in your freedom. No children. Because once you have children, you need to care for them. And what happens is people will have children for all the wrong reasons. And then now when things doesn't work out, they begin to abuse the children and mistreat the children. And they're just using the children for maids and watching all their other kids and all these different things. And the child is resentful. And then the parents become abusive and they still want to go out and do all the things that they were supposed to be doing at that age. But now they have children. It's a problem. And so you find people that's going to the club and going out to party and leaving the children in the car and saying, stay in the car till I get back. All kinds of stuff is going on, or leaving them all by themselves. I cannot remember where I was. I believe I was in Germany at the time that I believe it was in Germany. And a mother left her kids at home to go party. and something happened and the place caught on fire and all her children died. They all died. So we have to be a guardian to our children. We have to pray over them. We have to realize that at some point they're going to grow up. At some point they're going to grow up. And you have your freedom again to do the things that you need to do, to go to the store. As they get older, you can now go to the store without them. As they become teenagers, there's certain things you can do. And they're going to become young adults, and now you'll be able to do more and incorporate them in their life and see the joys of them growing up and grandchildren and all that good stuff. And it's just in my heart, you can't be that grandmama that you don't want to be a grandma. You ain't leaving me with them children. Understandably, grandma, you got to go out and do your stuff. But some of you, your daughter and your son, they want to do some stuff and you want to go. They're asking you can you watch them for me? Where y'all going? Wow, I can't go. Come on. You're the grandma. I understand that you're not supposed to just sit home all the time being by yourself. I get that. But there's a role that's different, and there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, when that time comes for me to be a grandmother, I'm not trying to be the one trying to get out in the streets. Oh, when y'all going? Hold on, let me get my shoes. No, I'm going to keep these grandbabies for you. You go out and you enjoy yourself. And because that's the blessings. But you got grandmamas still trying to be out there, trying to do stuff. And again, you can go out and have a good time, but don't be that hating grandparent that your daughter, your son, they can't come to you and ask you to help them with anything. And I'm not talking about children that's just abusing you and leaving the kids with you, and because I know there are children like that. But I'm just talking about, your daughter and her husband, or your son and his wife, they want to do something, or your child wants to do something, they're asking you to help, and you always want to go. Where y'all going? You are not them. You're not young no more. And it's good to be helpful, because then what happens is, that's one of the things with some grandparents that's very selfish. Not the ones that's being abused and have to take a stand and have to draw some boundaries because the children using the kids to get what they want. But grandparents they just are so bitter. They don't want to help. Oh, you shouldn't have had those kids. And they're so bitter. So now the children, their children are trying to find help wherever they can. And that's one of the reasons why some of these children end up getting hurt, because sometimes the grandparents, their parents forces them to figure out how they're going to do things on their own. So they have to leave them with Mr. Ernest next door. You understand? So guys, this video is longer than intended, but let's continue to pray for families, pray for those who are in these situations, pray that doors will be opened up and they will be able to find a way out, and there will be discoveries of abuse. No one will stand by and be silent. They will abuse. They will report when they hear a child screaming. There must be reports made when you hear someone being beaten and thumping and things going on. And let's pray that the child protective services, that they will not be overloaded, and they will not become callous, and they will not become indifferent and allow this, or turn a blind eye and try to close out cases before they're even resolved, because that's the other problem. So let's just pray that the angels of the Lord will be dispatched out by the command of God into these homes and into these places, that there will be changes, and that there will even be more strict laws, stringent measures are taken for people who are abusing children, because there's something about the life of a child where someone can do things and they just spend a year or two in jail and they're back out doing the same things. How is this possible? Protect your children. Pray over your children. Pray for the Lord's protection on them. Pray for the Lord's protection on them, on your young children, even in your teens, that the angel of the Lord is going to be with them, and God is going to protect them. Yes, we know there's certain places we got to let them go. We just have to trust the Lord to protect them. But there's so many other things that we can do as parents to say no, regardless of what they may say and how they may pout. It's better to save their soul right now, preserve them right now, and then they can make their own choices as an adult, rather than you being afraid that they're mad at you. You send them out there in a world where there's wolves and people just waiting to bring destruction and to violate your child. All right, guys, thank you for listening, and God bless you.